Hello and welcome back. I am Server Muted, and today we'll be playing Doki Doki Literature Club Plus. I think it's like an updated version with new visuals and maybe some added extras, like story content. I never played the original, but I always heard good things about it. And I should really preference this video too. This is a trigger warning because this game deals with a lot of dark and sensitive topics. So if you are very not delicate to these type of conversations that regards to depression and suicide, please watch this with a grain of salt because it may activate something. But with all that out of the way, let's begin. Please enter your name. Server muted. Hey. I see an annoying girl running towards me from the distance, waving her arms in the air like she's totally oblivious to any attention she might have drawn to herself. That girl is Sayori, my neighbor and good friend since we were children. You know, the kind of friend you will never see yourself making today, but it just kind of work out because you've known each other for so long. We used to walk to school together on days like this, but starting around high school, she would oversleep more and more frequently, and I would get tired of waiting up. But if she's going to chase after me like this, I almost feel better off running away. However, I just sigh and idle in front of the crossway and let Sayori catch up to me. I overslept again. Nice. But I caught you in time. Maybe, but only I decided to stop and wait for you. You say that you're thinking about ignoring me. That's mean, Server Muted. Oh gosh, I really should not put my name here. It's really awkward. Well, if people stare at you acting weird, and then I don't want them to think we're a couple or something. Fine. But you did wait for me after all. Guess you don't have it in you to be mean even if you want to. Whatever you say, Sayori. We cross the street together and make our way to school. As we draw near the streets, become increasingly speckled with other students making their daily commute. By the way, Server Muted, have you decided on a club to join yet? A club? I told you already, I'm really not interested in joining any clubs. I haven't been looking either. That's not true. You told me you would join a club this year. I did? I'm sure it's possible that I did in one of the many conversations where I dismissively go along with whatever she wants. Sorry, like to worry a little too much about me when I'm perfectly content just getting by on the average while spending my free time on games and anime. Relatable. Also, I'm a very apparently melodic and slow reader, so please bear with me. Drink some water. I was talking about how I'm worried you won't learn how to socialize or have any skills before college. Also really important because when I was in high school, it seemed like I was just tackling it day by day without any outside of classrooms interactions like that because how my school was structured. People were in clubs and stuff, but those were people who probably lived like 5 minutes from the school and whatnot. Every other people kind of just went along with their day and just hung out with their crew. But it's not bad. But I do agree that it's easier to get social skills when you're younger than having to deal with like public speaking and actually like presenting stuff in college and so forth. Your happiness is really important to me, you know? And I know you're happy now, but I'll die at the thought of you becoming a NEET in a few years because you're not used to the real world. Welcome to 2020 and 2021, where a lot of people, unfortunately, kind of just stayed and did their own thing. Not saying it's a bad thing, but it's just how the world is kind of right now. And a lot of people are kind of just happy how things are with on the progression of things opening back up. I see a lot of people, especially like my own personal friends, going out more, seeing the world, and just really just living life. So that's really cool. You trust me, right? Don't make me keep worrying about you. All right. I'll look at a few clubs if it makes you happy. See, this is like a really good friend that pushes you to be better and worry about your well-being in general. I was fortunate enough to have a friend like this too when I was in college, and she really helped me get through a lot of things, especially with how I would say questionable the school was, to say the least. No promises though. Will you at least promise you will try a little? Yeah, I guess I'll promise you that. Yay. Why do I let myself get lectured by such a carefree girl? More than that, I'm surprised I even let myself relent to her. You will probably, in your lifetime, meet people you would probably never have given the second thought, unless you have like accidentally bumped into them one day or have tried. In my own personal life, those be the people that I have the strongest connection with, because I can probably say a lot of people I grew up with, I don't really communicate with them as much anymore, but some one-off people I had conversation with in a class or two, sometimes they become your best friends. You just never know. I guess seeing her worry so much about me makes me want to ease her mind at least a little bit, even if she does exaggerate everything inside her head. The school day is as ordinary as ever, and it's over before I know it. After I packed up my things, I stared blankly at the wall, looking for an ounce of motivation. Yeah, another tidbit about myself is the reason I started this channel is because I did just recently graduated and I didn't have anything else really to do, especially with the state of the world right now. So I looked at YouTube for potential, I don't know, something. I enjoy it. So I like video games. So why not see where this takes me, you know? Clubs. Sayori wants me to check out some clubs. I guess I have no choice but to start with the anime club. Understandable. But if you're like me, you had a anime club in your high school, then you know how very political it can get and how very cliquish and just weird, unfortunately, they can get. When I went to college, it was a lot better, but it definitely is not up to par with how a lot of things are. Or your ideal, if you watch like anime or read manga, how the anime club would be. It's kind of, unfortunately, cringy, to say the least. But if you have any stories of your own, I would love to read them in the comments. Hello. Sayori? Sayori must have come into my class while I was spacing out. I looked around and realized I'm the only one left in the classroom. I thought I would catch you coming out the classroom, but I saw you just sitting here and spacing out, so I came in. Honestly, you're even worse than me sometimes. I'm impressed. You don't need to wait for me if it's going to make you late for your own club. Well, I thought you might need some encouragement, so I thought, you know. Aw, she's blushing. Know what? Well, that you could come to my club. Sayori? Yeah? There's no way I'm going into your club. Meanie. Sayori is the vice president of the literature club. Granted, I probably would not be so active of going into that class myself. Well, that club myself, because I am not the best reader, if you can pick that up. And I always tell people I am allergic to reading. But here we are playing a visual novel, which, you know, I have to read. So that's a little contradictory, I would say. Not that I was ever aware that she had any interest in literature. Same. In fact, I'm 99% sure she only did it because she thought it would be fun to help start a new club. Well, if you're going off to college and stuff, to help start a new club and run it, it's very good on a transcript, I would say. Since she was one of the first ones to show interest after one of the proposed clubs, she inherited the title Vice President. That said, my interest in literature is guaranteed to be even less. Heck yeah. Yeah, I'm going to the anime club. Come on, please. Why did you care so much anyway? Well, I kind of told the club yesterday I would bring a new member, and Natsuki said cupcakes and everything. Don't make a promise you can't keep. I can't tell if Sayori is really that much of an airhead, or if she's so cunning as to have planned all this out. Maybe a little foreshadowing there. I let out a long sigh. Fine, I'll stop by for a cupcake, okay? Yes, let's go. And thus today marks the day I sold my soul for a cupcake. I would probably do it for less, given the circumstances. But yeah, I probably would sell my soul for a cupcake too. I dejectedly followed Sayori across the school and upstairs, a section of the school I rarely visit. Sayori, full of energy, swings open the classroom door. Everyone, the new member is here. I told you, don't call me a new member. I glanced around the room. Welcome to the literature club. It's a pleasure meeting you. Sorry, you always say nice things about you. Seriously, you bought a boy? Way to kill the atmosphere. Ah, server muted. What a nice surprise. Welcome to the club. All words escape me in this situation. Probably same given how things will play out. This club is full of incredibly cute girls. What are you looking at? If you want to say something, say it. Sorry. Natsuki. The girl with the sour attitude, whose name is apparently Natsuki, is one I don't recognize. Her small figure makes her look like a first-year student. She's also the one who made cupcakes, according to Sayori. You can just ignore her. When she gets moody, Sayori said that quietly into my ear, then turned back at the other girls. Anyways, this is Natsuki, always full of energy. This is Yuri, the smartest in the club. Don't say things like that. Yuri, who appeared completely more mature and timid, seems to have a hard time keeping up with people like Sayori and Natsuki. Ah, well, it's nice to meet you both. Like, a friend group like this is also really cool because they kind of like complement each other. You probably have someone shy and like complicit, but then you have someone that's outgoing and loves trying new things, and having those people is like a perfect unity to help, balance out their lives and stuff. It helps keep everyone in check in a way. It's always cool to see stuff like that. It's not always the case, but I always find it interesting if it is. And it sounds like you already know Monica, is that right? That's right. It's great to see you again, server muted. Monica smiles sweetly. We do know each other. Well, we rarely talk, but we were in the same class last year. See? Already a connection. Monica was probably the most popular girl in class. Smart, beautiful, athletic. Basically, completely out of my league. If you guys seen like the recent clip about what's his name? Jack Howard shooting his shot on like the red carpet on live TV. She like kind of like rejected him then and there, but it's like you can't just, if you see someone out of your league, you can't just not try, The worst they can say is no, but to be honest, the worst they can do is talk about it and becomes a rumor and all that stuff, and you have emitting fear of what people think about you, and it leads you into a really deep thoughts of how other people portray you, and you become much more scared in the real world. But you can't have those type of thoughts. You can't overthink these things. And like I said, the worst they can say is just no, because most people aren't going to do that stuff. It's not like a TV series where the high school bully start making fun of you and stuff like that. But if you just Say, hey, would you like to go out? Or would you like to hang one day? Here's my number. Yes, no. That's about it. In my own personal life, I met a lot of people I would consider out of my league. And not to say that you ever have anyone out of your league, because no one is like better than others. But I met someone in my life once, and we talked for a little bit, and I just never, every time we talked, I never felt like I should be in this situation right now. And that person was probably, I would say, basically perfect, but completely out of my league. I never stood a chance with them, but the time I spent with them was probably the best I've ever had with any other person in my life, and I would consider her completely out of my league. But yet I did have the opportunity to get to spend time with her, so that was really cool. So having her smile at me so genuinely feels a little. You too, Monica. Come sit down, Server Muted. We made room for you at the table so you can sit next to me or Monica. Ooh, she want me to sit next to her. I'll get the cupcakes. Hey, I made them. I'll get them. Maybe a little jealousy? Sorry, I got a little too excited. Then how about I make some tea as well? The girls have a few desks arranged to form a table. As I already mentioned, it's been widened, so there's one space next to Monica and one space next to Sayori. Nasuki and Yuri walk over to the corner of the room where Nasuki grabs a wrapped tray and Yuri opens up the closet. Still feeling awkward, I take a seat next to Sayori. Nasuki proudly marches back to the table, tray in hand. Okay, are you ready? Please excuse me, I need to get some more water. Ta-da! Whoa! Nasuki lifts the foil off the tray and reveals a dozen white, fluffy cupcakes decorated to look like little cats. The whiskers are drawn with icing and little pieces of chocolate were used to make the ears. So cute! I had no idea you were good at baking, Nasuki. Well, you know. Just hurry and take one. Sayori grabs one first, then Monica. I follow. It's delicious. Sayori talks with her mouth full and already managed to get icing on her face. I turn the cupcake around with my fingers, looking for the best angle to take a bite. Nasuki is quiet. I can't help but notice her sneaking glances in my direction. Is she waiting for me to take a bite? I finally bite down. The icing is sweet and full of flavor. I wonder if she made it herself. This is really good. Thank you, Nasuki. Well, why are you thanking me? It's not like haven't I heard this somewhere before? Oh yes, you have, young anime watcher. I made them for you or anything. I'm waiting for the baka to come in. Like, it's not like I made them for you or anything, baka. The tsundere type. It's always a classic trope and loved by many. I thought you technically did, so I already said, well, maybe, but not for you, you know, you dummy. There we go. There's the baka. All right. I give up on Nasuki's weird logic and dismiss the conversation. Yuri returns to the table carrying the tea set. She carefully places the teacup in front of us before setting down the teapot for the cupcake tray. You keep a whole tea set in this classroom. Don't worry, the teachers gave us permission. After all, doesn't a hot cup of tea help you enjoy a good book? I know I read somewhere in Japanese cultures, they kind of leave the classrooms and like the maintenance of the classrooms to the students to help give them a more appreciation towards it and more respect towards it, versus how some American schools just have like a janitor or something like along those lines. which is I feel like it would be kind of cool if we had it in our culture here. I feel like it will really benefit and give some students something to do in between classes and whatnot. But different cultures, different people. We can learn a lot from each other. Is what I can get out of this. I guess. Don't let myself get intimidated. Yuri's just trying to oppress you. That's not. Insulted, Yuri looks away. Yeah, a lot of these people probably aren't the greatest people where they can just interact with anyone. It's actually quite a rare skill that someone can just walk in a room and just communicate with people. A lot of people have trouble with that. I know I struggle with that personally, where I'm very timid and shy as a person. So I meant that, I believe you. Well, tea and reading might not be a pastime for me, but at least I enjoy tea. I'm glad. They're all blushing for me. Yuri faintly smiles to herself in relief. Monica raises an eyebrow and smiles at me. Huh. So what made you consider the literature club? I was afraid of this question. Something tells me I shouldn't tell Monica that I was practically dragged in here by Sayori. Well, I haven't joined any clubs yet, and Sayori seemed really happy here, so that's okay. Don't be embarrassed. Well, make sure you feel right at home, okay? As president of the literature club, it's my duty to make the club fun and exciting for everyone. Monica, I'm surprised. How come you decided to start your own club? You could probably be the board member for any other of the forgive that. You could probably be a board member for any of the major clubs. Weren't you the leader of the debate club last year? Haha, well, to be honest, I can't stand all the politics around the majors clubs. It feels like nothing but arguing about the budget and publicity and how to prepare for events. I'd much rather take something I personally enjoy and make something special out of it. With clubs, I understand the perspective of trying to make someone like a better person and really push them, I guess, into the quote unquote real world. But at the end of the day, some of these clubs, you kind of just want fun and just to de-stress after dealing with the everyday life of school in general. So I completely agree with Monica, especially the high expectations smart people have, where just because you're considered very smart and educated from your peers and people around you, you kind of have this expectations to always have to do something to help complement your intelligence. Like a literature club is really good because reading is also deemed very smart, but it's also something that she probably enjoys in her pastime versus a debate club, which you probably see on TV as being for only the smart people, which can, be more taxing doing schoolwork and then doing more work instead of just chilling with some friends and reading a good book and talking about it. I much rather take something I personally enjoy and make something special out of it. Exactly. And if it encourages others to get into literature, then I'm fulfilling that dream. Monica really is a great leader. Yuri also nods in agreement. Then I'm surprised there aren't more people in this club yet. It must be hard to start a new club. You could put it that way. Not many people are really interested in putting out all their effort to start something brand new, especially when it's something that doesn't grab your attention like literature. I know where I'm from, starting a new club is very tricky because here it's kind of seemed like it's organized and supervised by the students themselves. But where I'm from, our clubs couldn't be started unless you had a faculty member willing to stay extra time to watch us and stuff, because apparently over here there's a lot of delinquent activities and mishaps that happens, especially in school and between certain groups of people. So you can't just say, hey, can I start a club and find a room? No, you need hey, this professor, this teacher said that I can that they will supervise and be attentive at the club. that will run, and usually they're just like chill, like teachers and professors that just sit in the room and like do schoolwork and stuff. Maybe it was their little break in between their regular lives outside of school, you know. But yeah, we can't just say, hey, let's do this and expect to do it. You have to work hard to convince people that you're both fun and worthwhile. But it makes school events like festivals that much more important. I'm confident that we all really grow in this club before we graduate. Right, everyone? Yeah. We'll do our best. You know it. Everyone enthusiastically agrees. Such different girls, all interested in the same goal. Monica must have worked really hard just to find these three. And also, with being a part of a club and stuff is the same as having like a sense of community. If you're a part of a specific club, there's a specific goal that everyone wants to work towards and everyone likes. So your common thing here would be literature, and everyone will read the same books, and you guys always have something to talk about and discuss. But also some clubs I've seen also just become just a hangout spot. Like some anime clubs, unfortunately, they just become something people can just go in and just do whatever, not really discuss anime or manga like that. And it would just be a lot of cliques and, like I said, politics and whatnot. So I guess you had to like be open-minded to a lot of things and be wary of some of the shortcomings that might come from them as well. Maybe that's why they were all so delighted by the idea of a new member joining. Though I still don't really know if I can keep up with their level of enthusiasm about literature. So, server muted, what kind of things you like to read? Well, considering how little I've read these past few years, I don't really have a good way of answering that. Manga, I muttered quietly to myself, half joking. Nasuki head suddenly perks up. Ooh. It looks like she wants to say something, but she keeps quiet. Not much of a reader, I guess. Well, that can change. What am I saying? I spoke without thinking after seeing Yuri's sad smile. Oh, man. Anyways, what about you, Yuri? Well, let's see. Yuri traces the rim of her teacups with her finger. My favorites are usually novels that build deep and complex fantasy worlds. The level of creativity and craftsmanship behind them is amazing to me. And telling a good story in such a foreign world is equally impressive. Yuri goes on, clearly passionate about her reading. She seems so reserved and timid since the moment I walked in, but it's obvious by the way her eyes light up that she finds her comfort in the world of books, not people. It's also really cool to have a hobby like that you can really get into, because like me playing video games here, I really enjoy playing video games because it's that disconnect from your everyday problems and stuff like that. You get transported into a whole different world, and even just for a couple of hours or even a couple of minutes, you're not living the life that you might have problems in. You're some super soldier or some samurai in a fictional world that you're a part of, and having and that's why hobbies and stuff like that are so important in your life, because if you don't have stuff like this, when things get maybe bad, you don't have that escape. And I always encourage people to play video games because video games saved my life many times where I don't really had not much people to talk to or anyone to really deal with things. But sometimes you can't just walk up to someone and talk to them about your personal problems or feelings, because you don't want to burden people or anything like that. But video games, you kind of have your own little world that you go into, and just for a little bit, it hurts less, if that makes sense. Most gamers, I can say, probably agree with that thought, but even people who don't even consider themselves gamers, watching YouTube videos and stuff like that, any type of entertainment that they find joy in. Any little of these things help you escape in a way without resorting into any other problematic behaviors or questionable decisions that might impact your life more permanently. But these playing video games is how I can say I cope, because makes it hurt less, She seems so reserved and timid since the moment I walked in, but it's obvious, by the way, her eyes light up. Oh, I already read that. Sorry. I guess I got a little distracted. But I like a lot of things. Stories with deep psychological elements usually immerse me as well. Isn't it amazing how a writer can so deliberately take advantage of your own lack of imagination and completely throw you for a loop? Anyways, I've been reading a lot of horror lately. I've read a horror book once. Same. Once, probably like 3 chapters. Wasn't that good, personally. But, I don't know. Horror seems like kind of like an easy thing to jump into just to, get like some type of emotion or reaction out of you. Like horror games and stuff. You can be like bored one day and just play a scary game, and it's that sudden jump scare that really like perks you up or like really gets you active and moving, I definitely grasp something I can relate to at the minimum level. At this rate, Yuri might as well having a conversation with a rock. Really? I wouldn't have expected that, Yuri. For someone as gentle as you. I guess you can say that. But if a story makes me think or taste, I really can't put it down. Surreal horror is often more stressful at changing the way you look at the world, if only for a brief moment. I hate horror. Oh, why is that? Well, Nasuki eyes darts over to me for a split second. Never mind. That's right. You usually write about cute things, don't you, Nasuki? What? What gives you that idea? You left a piece of scrap paper behind last club meeting. It looks like you were working on a poem called "Don't Say It Out Loud," and give it that back. Fine. You could tell she's like a creative type, because if you know anyone who like writes stories or draw or anything like that, they never are willing to share a lot of their works, and it's very hard, especially going into any type of creative or art related field where you are so reserved and not secretive but skeptical about your own ability and how people will interpret it. So it kind of goes back to that social aspect with like joining clubs and like different groups of people, because you can never really truly grow unless you have other people to like look and critique your work. But if you're scared to show your work and stuff, you will always become stagnant and never really see the growth you probably want to see in yourself. But anyone who draws or writes, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You can probably have people saying you're the best thing they have ever seen, and you have written a masterpiece or drawn another Mona Lisa, but your own fear of, like, in a way, rejection of how others think about your work stops you from really showing it off. Fine. Your cupcakes, your poems, everything you do is just so cute as you are. Sorry, settles up behind your Nasuki and puts her hand on her shoulders. I'm not cute. Nasuki, you write your own poems? Well, I guess sometimes. Why do you care? I think that's impressive. Again, if I see someone drawing or someone writing a story, I'm like, please be friends with me. I love everything about you, because I think it's just so cool, especially because a lot of people more or less like lack that sort of imagination, especially with how in general the world is. We kind of start off with imagination and quickly leaves as we have to focus on the future, more about like surviving and especially economics points of our life. We really don't have that the time to just sit back and doodle away or write something that's on your mind because you're too busy worrying about the world you're living in now without fully focusing on yourself. Why don't you share them sometimes? No. Natsuki averts her eyes. You wouldn't like them. Not a very confident writer yet. I understand how Natsuki feels. Sharing that level of writing takes more than just confidence, especially with poems. Because poems is you can write a story and it can just always be fantasy or fiction, where it doesn't really relate to you. It's just about how you, in general, storytell and how you lay out the timelines and events, and if it makes sense and people can relate with the characters. But a poem is almost like an attachment of the person in a writing form, where a part of themselves, a very vulnerable part of themselves, can be often interpolated into the writing. But that makes you in a very vulnerable state a lot of the times, and I can see why it would be sensitive for some to really want to share that. Just like drawing, kind of draw subconsciously what's on your mind and what you see as cool, and you're afraid of the stigma that might come from what people think of it. So I completely understand that as well. The truest form of writing is writing to oneself. You must be willing to open up to your readers, exposing your vulnerabilities and showing even the deepest reaches of your heart. Do you have writing experience too, Yuri? Maybe if you share some of your work, you can set an example to help Natsuki feel comfortable enough to share hers. I guess it's the same for Yuri. Aw, I wanted to read everyone's poem. We all sit in silence for a moment. Okay, I have an idea, everyone. Natsuki and Yuri look quizzically at Monica. For a guy who don't really like literature or is like consider himself dumb as a rock, he's a lot of big grammar in his inner like monologues. Let's all go home and write a poem of our own. Then next time we meet, we'll all share them with each other. That way, everyone is even. Yeah, let's do it. Also with friend groups and stuff, with fellow artists and stuff like that. It's always cool having friends like that, because if you both like drawing and stuff like that, you bounce ideas off each other constantly, always helping each other improve and come up with things you probably wouldn't have thought of on your own. And it's like, it really helps you grow too, especially when you can share your work with others. Because a real friend would tell you the flaws in it without having to always cover it up for your sake, and that's always good. And it helps you improve in life. It makes you become a better person in general. So I always, I'm a very big advocate of exposing other artists to each other and having everyone like share their works without judgment. Especially in some Discord groups and from classmates, if they say, yeah, I was like drawing something and I came up with this idea, or yeah, in my portfolio, and I'm like instantly, in a snap of a finger, I'm like, please share it. I love to look at other people's work. I love to see what people come up with, because it helps you to help you with your works and stuff like that, especially when you have like a writer's block or an artist block, you know. Plus, now that we have a new member, I think it will help us get a little more comfortable with each other and strengthen our bond of the club. Isn't that right, Server Muted? Monica smiling warmly at me once again. Hold on. There's still one problem. What's that? Now that we're back to the original topic of me joining a club, I bluntly come forth with what's on my mind the entire time. I never said I would join the club. Sorry, you may have convinced me to stop by, but I never made any decisions. I still have other clubs to look at, and I lose my train of thought as they all freaking terrifyingly look at you. All four of the girls stare back at me with dejected eyes. But I'm sorry, I thought. Server Muted. You all, I'm defenseless against these girls. How am I supposed to make clear-headed decisions when it's like this? That's it. I'm writing a poem and the price I need to pay in order to spend every day with these beautiful girls. Right. Okay, I've decided then. I'll join the literature club. One by one, the girls' eyes light up. And then it's like in circumstances like this, especially with human emotions and stuff too, you don't feel guilty, but you kind of feel, especially if you're like, you consider yourself, in a way, like you consider yourself like a self-entitled, like good person. You never want to see like any type of negative emotions displayed at your expense. So you would probably go far and beyond just to ensure that they are happy, even if it's something you're not trying to do at first. You're kind of just compromising for the sake of others, which is a beautiful thing of its own. But you always have to make sure you keep to yourself and make sure you're doing it for the right reasons, and that will benefit you and not just for any type of external gains or profitability, stuff like that. Like, sure, he's doing this because these girls are apparently beautiful to him, but I feel like there's probably more to it. You really felt like he really felt like a connection towards some of them, just having these conversations. And with Sayori saying how my character don't really interact with other people, this is probably like new to him and probably scary to him, but he likes it nonetheless. Yes, I'm so happy. Sayori wraps her arms around me, jumping up and down. Hey, you really did scare me for a moment. If you really just came here for the cupcake, I would have been super pissed. Then that makes it official. Welcome to the literature club. Thanks, I guess. Okay, everyone. I think with that, we can officially end today's meetings on a good note. Everyone remembers tonight's assignment. Write a poem to bring to our next meeting so we all can share. Monica looks over at me once more. Sayori muted. I look forward to seeing how you express yourself. Yeah. Can I really impress the class, Sir Monica, with my mediocre writing skills? I already feel anxiety welling up inside me. Meanwhile, the girls continue to chit-chat as Yuri and Natsuki clean up their food. Hey, server muted. So we're already here. You wanna walk home together? That's right. Sayori and I never walk home together anymore because she's always stayed after school for clubs. Sure, might as well. Yay. With that, the two of us depart from the club room and make our way home. The whole way, my mind wanders back and forth between four girls. Sayori, Natsuki, Yuri, and of course Monica. Will I really be happy spending every day after school in the literature club? Perhaps I'll have the chance to grow closer to one of these girls. Alright, I just need to make the most of my circumstances, and I'm sure good fortune will find me. And I guess to start with writing a poem tonight. Okay, I'm going to end this episode here. Thank you for listening, for me rambling, and I hope you enjoyed this game. I know many people do. So leave a like, comment, subscribe. Write something in the comments. I would love to read and have a conversation with you all. And again, thank you for watching. Goodbye.